Okay, I am on the downloads page for MySQL for Windows. This link is going to be in the course notes. And what I want to do is come over here to the MySQL Installer. I'm going to click on that link. And I want the MySQL server. And I want the version of MySQL Community Server. 5721 is fine. As this course progresses and gets older, it's early 2018. I'm recording this, so I'm sure there's going to be additional releases. So consider 5.7 the minimal release that we want to install. So I'm going to follow here and go to the download page and scroll up. And if you have a slow internet connection, take this bottom option, but I do have a fairly good internet connection here, so I'm going to take this one. And now it's going to ask you to create an Oracle account. You do not need to do that. I'm just going to say no thanks. Go ahead and start my download. And we can see that it has downloaded that pretty quickly. Go ahead and click that. And now you can see that it's asking me if I want to allow access. And we can see that I have clicked on the MySQL Installer launcher. It is a verified publisher, Oracle America. And I'm going to say yes. So a little safety there. And you do have a number of different options here. I don't need a lot of stuff, so I'm going to say, I'm going to do a custom. Come down here to custom and say next. And I want the MySQL server. And the x86 version is fine. And now I want to say applications. And I want the MySQL workbench. Kind of a strange UI here. So that's the two components that I want to install. I don't need the other stuff. Actually, I'm going to put in the shell as well, just in case we need that. I'm going to take a quick peek at the utilities. I don't think we need those, so hopefully not. I'm just going to go with the server, workbench, and shell. Should give us everything that we need for working with MySQL on Windows. Click next. And now I'm going to click on execute. And it's going to go out and download these from Oracle. It's going to download them and install them. I'm going to pause the video here for a minute and then come back to it once everything's downloaded and installed. Okay, everything is downloaded and installed normally. So I wanted to pause that. Didn't want to keep you waiting and watching my computer download stuff and install it. So now I'm going to click on next. And now it's saying that it's ready to configure that. So I'll say next. And now there's a couple different options. We are not going to be getting into database clusters, so no need to do that. Standalone is perfectly fine for this course. That is what we're going to be focusing on, so that is what we want. Now, this is different options here, so you can come down here, take a look at this. And really, a development machine is fine. These options will set up MySQL a little bit differently, so if we did have like a dedicated server, we do not. We're all working on our own personal computers here, so development machine is fine. TCP/IP, that is the network layer, and we will be connecting to MySQL over the network using TCP/IP to port 3306. So this is fine, and it's also asking us to open up the firewall. This is important networking stuff. This is how we will be connecting to MySQL, so this is perfectly fine. We'll take the defaults on that and click on next. And now it's asking for the root account. The root account is a very important account. This is like the master account, the administrator account for MySQL. So give it a password that you can remember. And it's giving me a weak password, which is fine. I'm not too terribly concerned about security on this particular machine with MySQL. If you had a commercial account or a commercial grade server, you definitely want something stronger. But here I'm just going to cheat a little bit and give something easy to remember. And we are not going to get into user accounts right now. We will do that later in the course. The root account is going to be fine for our initial purposes. Now we have a couple options, and it's best to run it as a Windows service. And what this means is that the MySQL database is going to come up as a background process. This is typically how I will run it on a Windows machine as a service. And then it says start it up at system startup. Now you might be worried about having a lot of system resources on it. MySQL is actually pretty light. It's a pretty lean program, especially in the Windows world. So don't worry about it having running in the background. It's not going to consume that many resources, especially if you're not using it. If it's just out there in the background, it's going to get pushed down by the operating system, and you won't even notice that it's running, generally speaking. Now here, as far as the document store, we are not going to enable that feature, so don't check off on that. No need for that. And now it says to apply this configuration. You can see a list of things that it's going to do. I'm going to click on execute and allow it to go do it. And you can see that it does run through this list pretty quickly. So it's going through the initialization of the database right now. That's going to take a few seconds. Starting the database server, applied everything. And now we're going to click on finish. And we can see that it's configuration. And we're going to say next. And I am not going to start the shell and workbench. We will do those in a future video. And I'm just going to click on finish. And at this point, MySQL is installed on my Windows machine and ready to use.